So now that we've talked about the physical aspect of when you've fallen into this mess of emotional disarray that you've been put into because of divorce, and that's the other thing about this divorce thing. For some of you, I know this might have been your way to get out of the relationship for whatever reason, and that's it. It fits with what we're talking about, right? But for some of you also, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't get married so I can get divorced. And there was nobody who talked to me about what it's like to be divorced, right? I understand that, well, people talk to you about marriage, but nobody talks to you about, whoa, well, when you get divorced, this is what you should be looking like, right? So as we move through this, now that we've talked about the physical part, I want to talk about the social aspect of this, right? Divorce not only impacts you, but it impacts the people that you've been connected with for all the times you've been in a relationship. So when you're in that relationship, you have a pretty wide circle of friends and family that are built within the relationship. Well, now the divorce happens and that circle suddenly starts to shrink. Maybe it's not as big as it was, and now it becomes down to something like this, right? And now it's just you and the children maybe, or just you and a couple of close friends. How do I manage that? How did I suddenly wind up back in here when we had all this? And, more often than not, those friends that we have, they go with the divorce too. So that group of friends might go with a partner, and the group of friends that you thought were more connected with you, they might not be there anymore. So now what? It's another part that's just not easy. How do I navigate? This is like high school again. It's my first year in high school, and who do I connect with? I was with some kids before. Now they're with other clubs, and I don't know which club I'm supposed to be with. How do I do that? I don't want to go through high school again. I did it once. I can't do this stuff again. You don't have to. Take a break, right? The primary focus when you're going through a recovery for divorce is to get yourself in a good place. And how do we do that? You can't do this alone. You cannot do this alone. There's not one client I've ever worked with who said, I've been able to manage this all by myself. The balance comes in, who do I let in? So now that my circle's right here, how do I let in the people who are going to be supportive? Divorce isn't something that you put a bumper sticker on the back of your car and say, you're following a driver who has just been divorced, or proud person of a divorce relationship, right? We don't advertise it. We don't call up our friends. We don't send out little cards that say, save the date because I'm going to be divorced here. Now, I know some of you might because you really want to get out of that relationship, but you're still having to manage how we're going to get through this social aspect of it. One of the things to think about is, who do you know that will be there for you in a way that you need, not the way they can do it? Now, that's a little tricky, right? We all have friends who very willingly love to give us advice, whether we ask for it or not. And I remember a client once when she was talking about how angry she was, and we're going to talk about anger and frustration in another conversation, about her partner not signing the divorce papers. And it was just eating her up that he was just not signing these divorce papers. And she would get angry about it. And she had a small group of friends that when she would get angry, they would fuel her on. You're right. Can't believe he's not signed those papers yet. Or I can't believe she's not signing those papers yet. This is ridiculous. You need to. And she would get more angry with it. And we had to talk about that, about how much more angry she was getting by hearing that from some friends who were trying to be helpful, but it really wasn't being helpful. And when we have that conversation about how do we handle anger and frustration, we'll see how that impacted her in a way that wasn't helpful at all. And we really had to work on how does she very politely share with them, this doesn't help me. I need you to be supportive, but I can't let you fuel the anger that I'm feeling. Because when you're done, I'm left with all that anger and frustration inside, and it doesn't help. It just eats away. So how do we deal with this when we have extended family members now who might look at us and say, what did you do wrong? How did this happen? Didn't you see the signs of this beforehand? I thought you two were doing so great. What happened? You've already gone through that yourself. The last thing you want to hear is from other people. So it's okay if you keep that circle kind of small for right now and just let in the people who are going to sit there and either eat the donut with you, have some of the ice cream, and just let you talk, right? No judgments, no solutions on how you get through this. The best people that you want with you at this time are the ones who are just going to walk with you on this. sit on the phone with you while you're talking, or when you have a moment that you're so debilitated by this that all you can do is cry. The people that will be there for you and just let you be you. If it's not your extended family, it's okay, right? You can just tell them, today's been a good day. I'm doing okay, thanks. Because you don't need to hear that extra voice. And sometimes it's hard because we add that much pressure on us. Well, it was my father, it was my mother who called to check in, and she calls in every couple of days, and I have to relive everything I'm going through. And I really appreciate her support, but it's just so draining. I dread having the phone and seeing it's her, or my father wants to come by and help, or my best friend from high school found out and now she's calling, and it's just so much. It keeps you down in that 60 feet, and it's hard to breathe. I need to rise up just a little bit, and I need to get some breath. So the people who can give you some fresh air, the people who you feel can let you rise up a couple more feet, they're the ones to let in and allow yourself the freedom to tell some of the other folks, you know what, how about if I call you if I need you, or this would really be helpful for me. If you can do this for me, because people want to help. They like to help. They want to see what they can do, right? If you were physically ill, they'd be much easier to come over and take care of that. But this is an emotional hurt. This is a pain that's been broken that we can't point to the bone and say it's right here. It's in here. And I don't know how to fix that just yet. So as you're trying to figure this out, your friends, your family are trying to figure it out with you. You just give yourself the freedom to say, you know what? These few people here are the ones I can lean on. And lean on them. Don't feel like you've got to do this all on your own. The other part about this conversation is boundaries. You'll hear from people who'll tell you, well, you need to keep a boundary up there. And that makes some sense. Boundaries are good things, but not a boundary that's going to push away someone. You don't want to start doing this and saying, you know what? Yeah, I can't talk to you anymore. You can navigate boundaries in a better way if you just allow some open spaces to come in. But in order for you to maintain that boundary, you have to be healthy, because the people on the other side of the boundary line don't always recognize there's a boundary there. And they're going to try to keep coming in. In order for you to maintain that boundary, you need to be in a good place. That's why when people say, well, you need to set some boundaries with this. Okay, yeah, I can't even figure out how I'm going to get out of bed in the morning, and now you want me to set up a boundary? I don't think I can do that just yet. So when you're ready to share with people, and it doesn't matter what they say, that's when you'll know that you're moving forward. You're starting to rise up a little bit, right? I just want to say this. And it doesn't matter what you're going to say. I'm okay. And I'm going to keep moving forward. But I really need to keep you in a good place, because right now it's taking everything I have just to get me going and get my children going. The other part about divorce is life doesn't stop. Your boss doesn't tell you at work, you know what, take 3 or 4 months off. Get yourself in a better place. It's okay. Come on back when you're ready. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The kids don't say, you know what, no problem. I got school covered. I got all my social activities covered. That's fine. The house doesn't say to you, or the apartment doesn't say, I'll clean it all. I'm good. Don't worry about it, right? Life keeps moving, and it keeps going down that highway. And how do I get back in again? You don't have to get all back in. You take one piece at a time. You come up 1 foot at a time. You breathe a little bit. You come up another foot. It keeps moving, and that's okay. Your job isn't to keep moving with it. Your job is just to get back up a little bit. That's all. So if you can find the people, your friends, your family, that will help you, hold on to them. Lean in. Let them help you in a way that they can, that works for you. Embrace what they offer for you. And don't worry about how they're going to react. You got enough to do just to get through each day, each moment, each hour, until you get to that time at night where you can go get that ice cream again. All right? Keep yourself in a good place with your friends and your family based on how it works for you, not so much what they need.